Pull up a bar stool. All right, so we're going to continue a little theme here. It's now been 10 years, amazingly, since I was laid off for the second time, which led to where I am today. So I haven't taken a check from an employer since then. Been my own boss, and it's been pretty cool. So what I really wanted to do during this time is kind of jump in that Wayback Machine and try to remember the best I can what things were like. And man, have I fallen down the rabbit hole. So in a prior episode, I talked a little bit just about getting laid off and what that was like and where I was going from there. Now I want to talk about, okay, I created my website. What am I going to do? So I think you'll find this interesting. This will be the first month after creating my website. So sit back, relax, pop a bottle. Let's do it. Yeah, a pouring suffered there. It's been a while. Last week I used the Guinness can, which you can't fail with the Guinness can. It just pours out the right way. And I went with the Fat Tire today, and I forgot I've got to be a little bit more careful. So anyway, so it's 2011. I had just been laid off, and it was the second time. Feeling like crap. Did not feel good about myself whatsoever. Didn't know what to do. First thing I did, though, I think was technically actually, I was going to confirm this in my account, but I forgot to. I believe it was actually August 25th of 2011. I bought the domain to johnloomer.com. So all those John Loomers out there, sorry. And it was around there because I know I created some pages. I didn't publish a post yet. Created some pages on that day. And so to kind of give you a sense, well, so first of all, when I launched it, this was not a professional site. It was a free template, free WordPress template. I created all the graphics by myself, and oh man, were they horrible. If you're watching the video version of this PUBCAST, the header graphic I used essentially uses a headshot of me that's not really a headshot. It's just cropped out photo picture of me outside with my family at night, and it's just my head though. And the rest of the header is John Loomer with some words, just random words: professional, unique, driven, independent, creative. That's a lot of words. So that was the first header on johnloomer.com. Now, this website had zero focus because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with it, to be completely frank with you. And that's part of the reason why I built the whole thing myself. I wasn't worried, I guess, too much about what it looked like, but I really probably should have been worried more. I hadn't yet outsourced anything. So the way it started was as kind of like a virtual resume. I wish I had the whole website the way it looked then, but if you were to go to johnloomer.com, you can find a lot of these old pages and posts and stuff like that. But I showcased what my prior work was. I had recommendations from people I worked with and worked for. And, it's really just a method of finding a job is what it was. I didn't write a blog post until August 28th, I believe it was. Oh, and actually, hold on, let me see. August 28th. And that first blog post was entering the free agent market. So it was all about, again, I'm a baseball guy, so connecting it to baseball in some way I had to, right? And so it was all about the fact that, hey, I'm a free agent and I need a job. Help me out. And from there, didn't really know what to do with this website, but I started writing. So that was August 29th. So going from August 29th through the end of September, I wrote 15 blog posts. And to give you a sense, 25 blog posts. And to give you a sense of what I wrote about during that time, again, I hadn't already determined I was going to write about Facebook advertising, Facebook marketing, anything like that. 5 blog posts were about my job search. Let me see if I can pull up. Yeah. So, man, I mean, I could start from the beginning. So visually, I'm looking at right now the whole list. This is the kind of cool thing about WordPress is I can go back and see the date of when blog posts were published, pages were published, images were uploaded. So that's where I was able to find that old header. But the second blog post was again about finding a job. So career key, think like a kid. So I'd interviewed my oldest son, Michael. That's what that one was. And he had these just big dreams 10 years ago about what he wanted to do, who he wanted to be. And 10 years later, by the way, he's not following that same path, but he's doing some crazy things. So, man, just the topics I covered, I had no focus whatsoever. So 5 posts were about my job search. 3 posts, to show you how long ago this was, were about Google+. 2 were about Twitter. And 15 were about Facebook. Now you're like, oh, John, you were already then writing about the stuff that you were gonna end up making money on. None of this stuff was on business use of social media. So any of this Google+, Twitter, Facebook stuff. I kind of broke it out. So in terms of Facebook, I wrote 5 blog posts about the new Facebook, because that's, I guess, when there's a new news feed. How many new Facebooks have there been? So 5 are about that. So again, personal use. 4 were about the subscribe button. And certainly, as a public person and a marketer or whatever, you could use the subscribe button for business purposes. But I was like, one of those posts were like, please don't make this like Twitter, was my complaint. 2 posts were about Facebook privacy, because that was a big concern among people back then. 2 posts were about a Facebook hoax. I mean, there are multiple hoaxes, but you probably wouldn't be surprised to know that the posts about Facebook privacy, this again as a user, and a Facebook hoax were what drove the most traffic. I wrote another one about the Facebook ticker, remember that? And Facebook notifications. I don't even remember what that one was. So that generally, was what I wrote about. But I want to take a closer look at what happened with those posts. So hold on one second. Cheers. Oh, yeah. I always need a little break there. So the most popular post I wrote in that month was Facebook scare, uncheck comments and likes. And so this was all about a hoax that happened where people were like hover over my name, uncheck. So this was the hoax. It was a copy and paste. Do me a favor, please hover over my name here, wait for the box to load, and then hover over the subscribe link. Then uncheck the comments and likes choice. I would rather my comments on friends' posts not be made public. Thanks. Then repost if you don't want your every move posted on the right for everyone to see. I'll do the same for you. So this was complete BS. Didn't make any sense. And basically I wrote a whole blog post about why it doesn't make any sense. And I even did a video on YouTube about it because I was leveraging the attention it got. And actually over the years it would suddenly get attention again because that same hoax would come up. I don't have the traffic that happened that month for this post. What I can tell you is the number of shares from that during that month for this post were over 11,000. So I know you're going to say, oh, John, poor you create a blog post within the first month, you're getting over 11,000 shares for a post. Or you create a website within a month. So, but I think some explanation is in order, though, because when you talk about what happened this month, and we'll talk in the future what happened in the later months, this didn't mean success. So 25 blog posts, I actually generated 25,000 visits that month, from what I can tell from WordPress's old analytics. But I think a very big chunk of that was for this Facebook scare. So that was 11,000 shares. Facebook tip, turn off close friend notifications. So that's the one about notifications. For whatever reason, people really want to know about that one too. So I jumped on it, created a video. It was a really quick how-to. That had over 420 shares. 6 steps to a good Facebook hoax, because of course I had to leverage this interest that all the hoax stuff was getting, and it was just kind of a joke about, how you can spot one, really was it came down to. It was like use all caps and lots of exclamation points, scare the crap out of the people, always good because then they're not thinking rationally. Be strangely specific about something that doesn't really make sense. Gives detailed steps on how to fix the quote-unquote problem. Say it happened to me. And ask for the copy and paste. Oh, man. 10 years later, nothing's really changed, right? So that one got 310 shares. 6 steps to controlling your Facebook privacy. That was 153 shares. So, yes, I was driving traffic that month, but as you can see, my focus was across the board, and I did not have any kind of business focus whatsoever. But let's talk a little bit more about what kind of a preview of what came after that. Just a second. Cheers. So here's the crazy thing. I was driving a decent amount of traffic. I can remember it as if it was yesterday. I shared it to my Facebook profile, my friends, right? My friends were enormously supportive. They shared it. And so that was the start. It wasn't because I was running ads or anything. I wasn't running ads as far as I remember at that point. I probably should have been. Friends were sharing it, and then it just exploded for that one post in particular. But I didn't have a Facebook page yet until November, because I didn't see myself as a business at this point. And you could kind of see that in what I was writing. That traffic of 25,000 visits fell off a cliff once the virality of that first post disappeared. I think the vast majority of those visits were for that one post, by the way. I really do. I'm going to talk more about the next 3 months in another episode, but I can tell you that in both October and November of 2011, I received fewer than 4,000 visits for each of those 2 months. And actually, I think it was October, there was like close to 3,000. And we'll get to more of that in a second. And actually, we'll wrap this up now in a moment here after I get another drink. I'm going to talk about the lessons from that first month. Cheers. So, what lessons did I learn from that first month? First of all, I can kind of laugh at what I wrote about now. But the truth is this. I wrote 25 blog posts during that first month. And by writing a lot, I was able to learn from it. So even when those learnings are a little misguided, and even when I write stuff, it's kind of ridiculous, because I absolutely wrote some ridiculous stuff. Speaking of ridiculous, one of the things I was going to show you earlier was I actually started a contest, a quote-unquote contest, with the hashtag of Get Loomer a Job. And I even had contest rules and how to enter, and I think if you got me a job, then I was gonna donate $500 or excuse me, $50 to the charity of your choice. Man, oh man. I think I quickly realized that contest was misguided. I think it was a friend of mine who actually pointed out, like, this doesn't seem right, and I kind of went away from it. But that's the kind of stuff I was doing. I was getting kind of desperate, writing about anything and everything. But now I say it was pretty focused, at least. It was on online stuff, finding a job, social media, things that we were dealing with online. But there was nothing that was business related at that point. But I was able to learn from that. And you can't just be petrified and stand there and do nothing and just be scared of doing anything. The truth is that, yes, some of that stuff I was writing got a lot of traffic. Eventually in October, November, I would get close to nothing. And you can use that in two different ways. Like, it can drive you crazy. You're like, why am I even doing this? Or you can also use it in a really negative way, and that it's like, oh, this got traffic, so I'm gonna write more about that. I think that is one thing that I do say regret, because I think slowed down my growth a bit, is I chased clicks. So what I mean by that is I was writing about stuff like Facebook privacy and Facebook hoaxes that was driving traffic. So you'll find later, when I'm really wanting to get that traffic, I would write updates to that. It's like, I got to drive traffic and you got to do it. And the reality was that didn't do anything for me in terms of making money. That had no long-term potential, or minimal long-term potential in terms of being business for me. But I chased clicks. So I would say one big lesson from that first month was to find a niche that can ultimately lead to revenue. And I hadn't found that yet, but that was just part of the, just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks, during that time. What I'm really proud of when we do move on to that next episode, talking about September, October, or actually October, November, is like, even when stuff wasn't working, I started figuring out what I should be doing. So we'll wrap it up there and see if I can finish this beer. Last call. Oh my goodness. So that was good. Thanks for joining me again today. It was a fun rabbit hole, though, I'll tell you that. I really have enjoyed reflecting on this 10 years and kind of looking back at what I was doing during that first year. And I'm going to expand beyond that first month, obviously, next time. I think we'll go on to the next couple of months, next 3 months after that. I think what we'll also do is talk a little bit about what was I trained for, right? Because I think that's really important when a lot of people, ask, like, am I capable of doing this? Yeah, you probably are, because I certainly had clear training that prepared me for it. But anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this. If this is the kind of content you want to see more of, hear more of, let me know. I think I'm gonna continue this at least through the first year, 2011, and talk about that. But if you want to hear more like entrepreneurship, creating a business type of content, that beer, man, I think I threw that down too quick. If you want to see training or communities or anything, just more content related to that, go in the future, just beyond this 10-year retrospective, give me a shout. I'd love to hear from you. John@johnloomer.com. So Thanks again for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this today. Until next time, do awesome things. I'm out.